Commanders. How are we all doing today? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day today in Star Trek Fleet Command. I wanted to put out a video. I know we've had the whole silent enemies, hostiles this month, we're doing some things with that, and some people like myself, because I'm in the lower end of the bracket, really struggling with those hostiles. So haven't done a lot of content with those, but there's still some content I want to put out relating to the event store and things like that this month. And I've kind of been holding off, hoping that we'll hear some feedback on if they're going to put anything new into the store that might be valuable. A lot of people that I've talked to are like, man, this event store is crap. So there's that. However, someone made a comment on something that's been on my mind lately, and I mentioned it in a couple of my videos, but I wanted to make a video directed or dedicated solely to this topic. And I've seen multiple players, especially those who've been around a while, who employed this strategy, but from a beginner or a lower/mid-level player who may have hesitations or not think about this, I want to put this video out primarily for you all. But I do invite, if you are a higher level player or have experience with this and there's some things I don't cover in the video, feel free to leave those comments below or throw them up in Discord, in the general channel, whatever you want to do. Certainly appreciate everyone's feedback. But what am I talking about today? Well, it goes along the same kind of chain of thought that I've had in a previous video recently I put out not too long ago, where I kind of talked about trying to be more efficient with our time in game, because there's so much to do, so many loops. I mean, goodness knows, this year alone they've added 3 different loops, talking about quantity or quality. We've got a whole lot of quantity, haven't we? That is very evident in the loops that they keep throwing at us. But loops make money, so that's probably the motivation there. But one thing that I found, and when I did my video recently, I made a list of things I wanted to share, and after I did the video, I realized I didn't share this tip, but the video did go a little bit longer than I really wanted to anyway, so there is that. So hopefully I'm getting out some good information. So this could have fit in that video, but maybe would have made it longer, but I still think it's a fantastic tip. So when you think about it and you're going out and you're hitting hostiles, just because in the past I've tried to leave my other slots open for other mining that I want to do, sometimes I just hit with one ship. But if you think about it, one ship can only hit so many hostiles, and then you've got like that 5-second battle animation, and then there's the trip, or the time it takes to get from that hostile to the next one. Factors are things like, if you're in a battleship, typically they go a little bit slower than, say, an interceptor, and so some people in the game will go for an interceptor first. But the whole idea is, if you take out more than one ship to hit hostiles, it can more or less go twice as fast, right? If you could manage more without game lag and so forth, could you send out 3, 4, or 5 ships to hit hostiles? And with your grinding rep, or trying to, for the 4-star players and above, you're trying to hit hostiles for those broken ship parts. There is definitely a theory behind hitting with multiple ships to do it quicker. Same thing with mining. Well, when you're mining, for example, I've got three of my G5 Novas out in faction space or in token space. And yes, I know there's an event today, and someone on server 21 is probably going to pop me just to take advantage of it. And I guess that's the cost of being a content creator. But I am taking a chance leaving those out there. But whether it's an event or not, I can mine in token space with 3 ships and get to token space. Or if you can't get to token space or have chosen not to do that, even using 3 other ships to get to G4, G5, G3 space, whatever it is, that's something we do every day. But do we honestly think about all the different loops we have and the different ships that we could be using to do all that? If it wasn't for me having 3 different ships mining right now, I wouldn't be able to keep up on my mining. And so even sometimes when I would send out like my Hydra out to mine gas, if I had gas for dailies, I could send out, my Klingon ship, my Romulan ship. I could send them all out to gas nodes and get knocked out quite a bit quicker. Now, a couple of them, because I don't have the refits for those, would mine slower, but I'm still getting it knocked out quicker because I have more than one ship mining, right? So that's kind of the theory here. So since this is an event store month, I wanted to put this out there, and let's hop in and talk about that. And I forgot to mention, but if you are new to the channel or haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up and the bell notification so you can be kept aware of future content. It really does help out the channel. So let's hop into the event store and we'll talk about some of the ships. I do want to highlight that I'm still planning on kind of reviewing the general things I like in the event store. I'm kind of waiting until they do some changes on that. And obviously I might have some different options in there than some lower level players might have based upon my ops level on different ships, for example. So I still plan on doing that, but I wanted to focus specifically on ships and kind of talk about that a little bit. Ultimately, in the event store, you always want to go for the things that are hard or difficult to source, and officers, I would highly prioritize those. But if you're not super close, and it seems like all they've been coming out officers lately, or for the most part, all these epic officers. It's like in sports games for like kids. It's like you get a trophy and you get a trophy. You're all winners. You're all epic. You're all fantastic. Well, I'm sorry, but there's place in this game for uncommon and rare officers too. And yes, I know we have a couple of rare officers here, but they really, I don't remember seeing very many uncommon officers. And let's just be honest, they've been pushing those epics. Why? Well, they're worth more, and we can justify that, I suppose. But anyways, I'll come up with a video about that. So this video isn't to say that getting ships is more important than, say, officers, but it's something to consider if you have extra event store currency, or you're looking to find more efficiency in your game, or you're so far away from unlocking the next tier of an officer that maybe it makes sense to spend some of your currency, not all of it, but some of it, and getting some additional ships. So let's talk about it. Just to give you a couple of examples. Let's see here. Monavine, yep, that's definitely a good ship to have. And I think that and this is just my strategy, I'm probably going to get a second one, not through the event store, but through my alliance happens to have one of the territories. And so I'm just grabbing some extra blueprints there so I can get a second ship. I don't plan on turning it up as high. Maybe I will. But once it starts taking 4 or 5 star materials, it starts making me think I don't want to invest much more in it, at least for now. But at least having it, I could then hit in a lower level system with possibly 2 ships and maybe knock out getting the loot that I need quicker. Mantis, very good to have. One thing I'm playing with, for those who don't know the lower level, I'm able to get about, it depends on the crew, but between 3 and 4 million on my Talios, which is 1 tier away from max, tier 11. And so what I'm probably going to do is max out the Mantis, which I just recently did, but then take the Talios and the Mantis out, and I can knock out getting me a bunch of loot pretty darn quick. So the benefit of the different ships that we can do now is that you can really use different crews. Back in the day, they used to sound like an old man in the game. Back in my day, anyways, they didn't used to have that many hostile crews. And so they've come out with quite a few more options. And I found with some testing that you can actually use a non-optimal crew to even hit a high-level system with the Mantis if you have your research up there. So that could be a good option for you. And even if you don't have a ship that can quite hit to that point, I wouldn't get more than 1 Mantis. Get one to unlock the extra Syndicate XP from there and work on that. But someday when you get up higher in levels, you probably won't use your Mantis as much, but it's definitely could be a second option so you can kind of farm twice as fast. Voyager, I almost might have mine maxed, and I haven't considered getting a second one. I don't think it's worth it with how quickly you can actually farm with the loot crew on that. So maybe not as applicable there. Titan's another specialty ship that honestly, you really don't need more than one. I I just don't see a benefit unless you need to sink materials into something. I don't see a huge benefit for getting a second Titan. NOAA blueprints, you can actually get those through G5 chest pretty regularly. That's why I have so many. That's why I have 3. I'm actually close. It'll even show me here. I think, oh yeah, I'm close to getting a 4th now through the G5 chest that you get, the option that opens up after 50 plus ops. So Nova's great, even at tier 1. All mine are at tier 1. I decided to spend the Latinum for the comment materials to upgrade past tier 1 on any of them. They only have the warp upgrade, but pretty fantastic to have a ship that can get so far into deep space, even with just the warp upgrade. Having 3 or 4 of them, whatever, is really a huge benefit to knock out that. And for me, it works on my server where I can farm mine in the token systems. Like I said, I have 3 going right now, so pretty fantastic there. Fuchsia blueprints, those are worth considering, although you can slowly get that by turning up a Devore and then getting a Fuchsia. I have 3 of those right now. They're not all max level, but really fantastic. I don't have the Ferengi whip that would help with the speed of the mining, but having multiple ships that you can mine the concentrated Latinum with is a huge help just to keep up on those turn-ins. I think I'm getting like 30,000 Latinum a day with my max Fuchsia. So it adds up, you know. It's not millions and millions a week, but I mean, it does help. So something worth keeping on top of. Vidar, you know, it's interesting. When they came out with the Talios, they came out with numbers that Rev shared in some of his videos where they talked about people who hadn't even maxed a Vidar yet. And when I heard that, I thought, are you nuts? I had 2. So I had 2. A friend of mine in my alliance was looking at getting a 3rd. And definitely with the cruise now, you could get away with it and make it easier. So rather than just taking 1 out, you take out 2 out. And with some of those exocomps, you could really farm your Borg pretty quick. Once you get to Talios, I only have 1, and that actually does farm pretty quickly. The one kind of disadvantage of thinking about getting a second is the fact that it would cost so many charged nano probes. I don't know. Have to think about that. So maybe that's something to think about if that's in your mind. Meridian, I think, is a great example. I was talking with someone some months ago, and this was probably one or two event stores ago. And they had, I think, 4, and we're looking at getting a 5th. If you find that you just have 1, you're having trouble keep on top of it. It seems like when I went, I want to say it was 50 plus, and they made the changes there. It made it really hard to keep on top of. When I went 50, having a 2nd or 3rd was almost a necessity to keep on top of it. I have 3 right now. I've put off getting 1 because I kept having stuff I wanted to spend my event store loot on, the currency. But that's definitely a good option to help you keep on top of it, especially if you're trying to catch up or get some good research in to max those refines as much as possible. Would be a good, fantastic thing to consider. Stella, I don't know how many people just have 1 Stella, but I have multiple Stellas. I have 2. I have, actually, in a previous event store, I ended up getting a half of the blueprints for a 3rd, never actually finished it. But what you can do is you can have 3, so you can knock out your weekly event quicker. You can actually have 1 that you hit the hostiles with, and then 1 or 2 that you're joining armadas with, because I don't know if everyone has noticed how many of you join right at the event reset, but the spawn rates are horrible. And if you don't jump in as many armadas as quick as you can, you might as well not even try at event reset. You're going to have to wait a couple of hours before things calm down and people aren't doing anything, because the armadas just aren't spawning. So Scopely needs to adjust that. But you can knock out that quite a bit quicker. Also, if you're farming the security codes so you can turn those in, then having multiple Stellas that you can run to fill up the cargo is very nice. So, and I think that was most of the ships. Oh, 1 more, that's right. You could get multiple Franklins as well. That's something to consider. the botany bay. You could get multiple botany bays with the different protected cargo crews we have nowadays. A friend of my alliance, I think he has 3. So he's able to keep up really easily on the mining of data, so he can keep up on those turn-ins. So once a week, he can take 3 out and just knock out some mining really quick, be done for the week. Another one to consider, if you're a raider, this is the amalgam. You can have, I just have one, but I know some friends of mine in my alliance and others that have multiple amalgams. Also, that if you're farming the loot for the amalgam, you can farm it quite a bit quicker if you have more than one that is farming that. So that's just some ideas. That the things that I've seen is ultimately there's some loops in this game that have true value, but you don't get significant value out of those loops if you're stressing so much about it because it's taking you so much time. So one thing, like I said, to consider, it may not be, and I would not suggest that it be your primary reason for using an event store, but if you just don't know what else to get, or you, like I said, you're too far away from the next epic officer upgrade, then, you know, maybe you think about the different loops. And if there's 1 or 2 of them that you're just really struggling keeping up, but you know there's good value there, you might want to consider getting some more ship blueprints to add more ships to your arsenal. Because if you have a loop that's valuable, but you're just like, man, I just can't keep up on this, I'm gonna have to let it go or diminish what I'm doing, maybe you invest in getting another ship, because the more ships you can throw at it, the better. In fact, the person I was talking to that had, I think 4 or 5 meridians for mining the isogen, told me that his goal was to get 7. And no fault to him there. I think that's fantastic. You know, he saw the value in having the isogen being mined. He knew that he just couldn't do it with 1 or 2, and he was going to limit the pain and knock out as quick as possible by just basically using every ship slot to mine those. So anyways, that's the video. Hopefully this tip is helpful. For those who don't know, and like I said, once again, if you do have other strategies for other ships you've gotten multiple of, please leave them in the comments below. I think people read through those and they get real value out of helping each other with other tips or tricks as far as that goes with multiple ships or event store strategies that people employ to make their grinds easier. So anyways, thanks so much and have a good day.